Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I'm Elton, this is Andy.
Hello.
And we have got the pre-season testing. It's all over now though, isn't it?
All done. Over. It's all done until Melbourne now.
Yes, looking forward to that. I'm getting into that mood of, right, I need the first race now. I need it.
Oh yes.
Yes, but before we get into that, I feel there should be a warning added at the very beginning of this podcast. I think from now on, you will accept this warning from us two.
Yes.
This podcast occasionally contains strong language, which may be unsuitable for children, unusual humour, which may be unsuitable for adults, and the ramblings of two uninformed blokes who don't really have a clue of what they are doing.
Yes.
There we go.
It may also contain nudity. Viewer discretion. It may also contain nudity. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yes. But that's only on odd occasions, I'd say.
Oh, very odd.
Yeah. So if you don't like, we may swear. If you don't like swears, turn it off. There's plenty of other podcasts.
Can't say you've not been warned.
Yeah, there's plenty of other podcasts that don't do swearing. We are just two idiots that like to talk about Formula One, and occasionally a swear or seven may slip out of our mouths.
Fuck yeah!
That's the way it is, I'm afraid. You have been warned, and thank you for listening to this little bit if you are now turning off. On with the show, I feel.
Yay!
Right, so pre-season testing. It was all in Barcelona, wasn't it? It was over.
It was Cataluna. They wanted, several of the teams wanted to do a hot weather test in Bahrain, as I recall. Mm-hmm. But the less well-off teams were all like, no, we can't afford it. So that didn't happen. Also, Pirelli were quite keen to do some more tests in more wet climates, but that was also said, no. So, yeah.
It'd be nice if Liberty Media could now foot the bill for the tracks for test days.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, I would. While it's kind of nice that the costs have. I don't know. Have the costs come down at all? I don't think they have. I miss testing throughout the year because I miss when they used to have the testing teams.
Mm-hmm.
You had a whole separate pit crew and everything like that, which is just out there for testing, and you had 3 or 4 tests throughout the year. It was great. You had some good development taking place. A team could really claw back some of the loss that it might have had because it made a wrong decision somewhere along the line. And also it gave people who aren't in Formula One a chance to show what they can do. So you had GP2 drivers, or Formula 2 drivers as it was back in the day, but Formula 2 as it is again now because GP2 has been renamed Formula 2. So
they've changed it again, haven't they? Oh, I didn't mind the GP2. It's still the same category. It's just got a different title on it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, there was that. I mean, you also had the third drivers would get a chance to shine. Mm-hmm. And again, people like Alonso, they started off as third drivers, and through testing and stuff like that, you got a chance to show what you could do. But
do you remember in 1994 when Senna had died, and they were Williams were looking for a stand-in driver for him?
Yeah,
and they all hot-footed it down to Brands Hatch and got Nigel Mansell in the Williams to run a couple of laps around there just to get his eye back in. Mm-hmm. I miss that.
Yeah.
The opportunity to do that.
Yeah, like you said, it would be nice if Liberty were just okay, these are official tests and we'll cover the bill for them, and there's 4 throughout the year. Mm-hmm. That'd be great.
Yeah, it'll be excellent. Keep the midsummer break. Mm-hmm. Keep that still there, but throw in tests after races. It's not a problem.
It makes sense. You're already there on site.
Yeah.
All the infrastructure's put in there.
Yeah.
So you may as well say, okay, fine, we're here now. So we've got the race, Thursday through Sunday, and then Monday and Tuesday testing.
Yeah, and imagine the access granted to the fans that do turn up for them tests. They could build it into something. It could be something really, really good. I know you can gain access.
Ross Vaughan talking about non-championship races, perhaps, to try new things.
Right.
This could be your opportunity. You could try some new things, and it's just a little bit different.
What do you think of the non-championship races, or the idea of it?
I like the idea of a concept, but the problem is, we're back to the tail wagging the dog. The teams will never go for it because they don't see what's in it for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no championship points, but it could be a third driver race.
I mean, that would be cool. Maybe in the testing, only third drivers can take part, and at the end, whoever is consistently the best third driver gets an award or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure these thoughts have been going through their minds at some point anyway. So I think we're in interesting times where it has the possibility to turn into something really good.
We're definitely in interesting times. Oh, you mean Formula One? Yeah, that too.
We've got the right person heading it up as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Ross Brawn is a guy who he knows he knows both sides of Formula One. He knows it from inside with the team manager's perspective, and he knows it from the outside. But the thing about Ross Brawn that was interesting is he was never like an aero guy. He was never an engine guy. What he was a manager of people, and he knew how to let people get on and do their thing, and just make sure there was the synergy between all the departments, so everything was running together. And that's really what Formula One needs just now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. That's good. Okay, so yeah, it was at Barcelona, Catalonia. We had the first test, which was four 1-day tests, or 4 1-day sessions.
Yes.
How did we do there then? Straight out the blocks, I feel Ferrari and Mercedes were showing how good they were and continuing to be.
Well, straight away, I mean, firstly, we discussed this in our previous cast, but the Mercedes just looked gorgeous from the get-go. And as is often the case, if it looks like it's going to be fast, it is going to be fast.
No, that's true. Yeah, if it looks like a dog, then it is a dog as well. Look at the old Toyota. It never looked quick.
It did not.
Never.
It was never quite right.
No.
I did find it very jarring every time I kept hearing about Bottas being at the top of the timesheets, thinking, wow, Williams are doing pretty good.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think over these two tests, he's looked quite good in that car.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think he's looked really good in it. How do you want to go about this, though? How do you want to talk about this?
I think rather than doing one test than the other test, because they've all kind of blurred together, let's just go through the teams and how we think they've gone through testing. Starting, I mean, let's do championship order. So where they finished in the championship last year, and we'll just say how have they done in this test and where do we think they're going to go? How does that sound?
Yeah, fine. So we're starting with Sauber.
We'll start at the bottom and work our way up.
Okay, cool. Well, we've seen the car. Who did we have driving for Sauber? We had Pascal Wehrlein, but he wasn't there on the first couple of days. He'd injured himself in the Race of Champions. Yes,
he done a weird. He collided with Massa and had a weird flip and hurt his back. Apparently,
it looked like it. I'm taking that you've seen that crash that he took.
I have seen it, and it didn't seem that bad. Just on that kind of first impression, it's just like, oh well. Yeah.
It looked like his passenger took more of a hit than he did himself. I think his passenger was wearing a white helmet. I think it's more the fact that we could see his white helmet clearer than Verlaine's. Yeah. But he took a tumble.
The passenger landed on the side which was with the tyres, whereas Pascal's side was just hit the ground effectively.
Right. See, just jarring effects straight through the body then, isn't it? So
a little bit, yeah.
But he did get some laps under his belt anyway.
He did, which was good. Let's pull up the old chart of where they got with times. Pascal Wehrlein, I mean, his best was a 1:22.347. He did 192 laps all told. I think that was mostly in the second session. No, he didn't really do the first session, did he?
No.
Yeah.
192 is not bad.
Oh, it's not bad at all. I mean, again, they're realistic from what I gather in like what their expectations. They know they're large on the back foot and poor funding, and I mean, we didn't mention them. Maybe we'll have a chat about them in a second. But Manor are gone. Manor went kaput.
Yeah.
So they are the back of the grid now. So, but they have aspirations to be back into the midfield. And yeah, I think the drivers are good. Pascal Wehrlein, we both rate very highly.
Yeah.
I feel we rate highly. Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem I think they're going to have is they're using the last year's Ferrari engine.
Yes.
So
as we
saw
it's not
last
going to
year
be. It's not going to be this year's Ferrari engine that they're going to be using.
No, they're using a 2016 Ferrari engine.
Oh man.
Yeah, and we saw last year with was it Toro Rosso?
Yep.
You know, when you're using an engine a year ago, you know, it's just you end up going backwards. I mean, you might start off quite strong because there's parity, but then everything goes forward. I mean, frankly, the only exception to that, I think, would be Honda. If they use last year's Honda, I'm pretty sure McLaren will be in a better place, but I'll save that for later. Saving that for later.
Give it a little while, man.
Powder dry.
I'm sure we get there pretty soon anyway.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next up is Renault.
Don't you want to talk about the other drivers at all? Or,
Yeah.
Marcus Ericsson and Antonio Giovinazzi?
Yes.
That sounds vaguely Italian.
I'm glad you went for that. Yes. So,
because he's the third driver. I mean, Marcus Ericsson did 445 laps in total.
Jeez.
Because he did it for the entire run of it. So
yeah,
respect. You know, and again, his fastest time was 1:21.670. So yeah, you know, he was a fair bit faster than Pascal, who had limited running.
So how many kilometers did he cover in that then?
2,071.475 kilometers.
Blimey.
So yeah, that's a fair amount. I mean, you bear in mind a typical race distance is what, 70 laps?
Yep.
Something on those lines, sort of thing. So I mean, that's it's quite a bit of running there.
That's most impressive. That really is.
It really is. I mean, in fact, the only people who did more laps than him were Bottas and Vettel. And Hamilton.
Yeah, that's good, man.
That is good. So, and again, that's the advantage of using last year's engine. Your reliability is generally going to be good.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Ferrari is going to be bulletproof.
It certainly should be. I mean, they had a lot of Ferrari as a team had problems last year, but they were more them tripping over their own feet than mechanical as such.
Yeah. Okay, cool. No failures to speak of from Sauber. I think
nothing that springs to mind and makes me go, "Oh well, wasn't that a disappointment?" You know, it seemed pretty solid. They had, I mean, as ever with bits and pieces, there were instances where this wasn't, you know, they had to come in to do a check on something or to relook at data. But I don't recall any offs. And again, they just got on, did their own thing. That was them.
Yeah, I think that the only one that we're really aiming at is McLaren, but we'll get there very soon. Unlike them. Renault looking good as well.
Both looking good in terms of the car looks good, and you know they did respectably well in the running.
Yes.
I mean the Renault engine, because obviously it's the same engine you've got in the Red Bull and also the Toro Rosso now as well. Seems solid for the most part. There was a couple of instances where we're not entirely sure if it was a problem or if they were just doing deliberate fuel runs to run out of fuel so they can find out what's the cutoff point there.
I think that's a good idea to find out when your gauge is at its minimum. It's always good to
I think
to see how many.
To find out what are your warning signs. You know, does it cough? Does it splutter?
Yeah.
You know, just to understand that.
I think when you get a new car, it's always good to see how many miles you can get before you. It's like playing petrol roulette.
You're like bingo.
Yeah.
You're like bingo.
Then it starts blinking. You're like, oh, okay, I should have around about 20 miles.
I should have 20 miles. I get home in 15 and the wife's taking the car tomorrow, so I'm not going to fill it up.
Yeah, she can fill it up. Yeah, that's fine. Damn, you know exactly what I do.
the problem is, so does Amanda now.
Ah, damn.
She doesn't listen to this. It's fine.
Oh God, no! Why would she want to listen to this rubbish? Yeah. So I feel, as we've said in the previous cast, Renault looks good. I think it looks good under Hulkenberg, and for a certain extent, Jolyon Palmer as well. I think I'm going to go easy on him now. He's had he's had his first year in. Now we get to see.
You've given him his kicking.
Yeah, I've given him a baptism of fire. Now we get to see where he really sits, and it's a clean slate for me. So I'll
give him a clean slate going in, but he has to sort his attitude out, in my opinion, because he's an arrogant little fuck.
Yeah, yes, but that's only our own opinions.
Yes,
on that. But apart from that, Renault looking mid-team, midfield at least, they're looking strong.
Yeah, they certainly seem like. I mean, the midfield as a whole seems very tight. I mean, if you take the midfield, I mean, the difference between the fastest laps between is it's less than a second separating the midfield.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's tasty potentially, and they all got pretty well. All the midfield got, at least 250 odd laps per driver out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that bodes well. Hopefully going into Melbourne. I mean, this is the third year of these engine regs, isn't it? Yeah, it's the third year here. Most of them seem to know what they're doing. So should be good. Should be good.
Okay. How many laps did Palmer cover then?
Palmer, he did 283 laps, his fastest being a 120.205.
Yep.
So that's a total distance of 1,317 kilometres. And the Hulk was a 119.885, total of 314 laps. It's 1,400 kilometres. So, yeah, you're talking about half a second there, difference in pace.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not bad for a guy. I mean,
especially given how highly the Hulk is regarded in Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of, strangely enough, now Rosberg has both won a championship and buggered off. I think Hulkenberg is the new Rosberg.
Right. Okay.
He's the one that's been in forever, was really rated highly, just hasn't managed to capitalise. He's not even had a win yet, has he, Hulk?
No, he's had pole positions, but that's it.
It's him and Bottas. Which is the one that has the record for the longest in Formula One without a win?
Well, Bottas has only been there 4 years. Hulkenberg, I think he's been there a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he has. He's been there. Well, he was in the Williams, wasn't he? He's been there a lot longer than Bottas.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, Renault, last year they kind of wrote the year off because that transition from Lotus was just messy. Plus, there was that fucking lover spat between them and Red Bull, which was messy as well.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, they really don't have an excuse for not having their house in order. And bearing in mind, this is the team, going way back when it used to be Benetton, then it was Renault, then it was Lotus, and then it was Renault again. I mean, this is a team which knows how to win championships. So they really need to pull their finger out.
Yeah. Okay. Haas going into their second season now.
Yep, Haas going into the second season, looking good from testing. You've got Kevin Magnussen has moved over to them.
Yep.
Joining Romain Grosjean. Times-wise, very close. Magnussen was slightly faster with a 120.5. Grosjean was a 121.1.
Yeah.
Both covered about 350 odd laps. Magnussen was 369. Grosjean was 346. I think they're using this year's Ferrari engine in there. And again, nothing really stood out as being there's no flags. I mean, we've commented on how boring the car looks just from its grey livery. I mean, it's going to be harder for them this year because last year they were brand new. There was no expectation on them. And then they kind of blew expectations away by doing so well in the beginning. Yeah,
they had excuses. They were the new team. So if they cocked it up, then that was their excuse. Brilliant.
This year, I mean, you still get a little bit of leeway being a new team, but they set themselves a very high bar. So it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think you have to set yourself a high bar if you've got a Ferrari in the back of that, especially up to date.
This year maybe. Last year you didn't.
No, that's true. But yeah, this year, because they have got the 2017 engine in there, they're going to get the development that Ferrari get on their own engine. They have to. It's one of them.
Well, I don't know if they get parity with the works team on the engine.
They have to.
They've got the. Do they?
Yeah, they have to. Yeah, that's why there was such a hoo-ha from last year with the Renault getting one engine and the other one going to Red Bull.
Oh, that's true. Yes, because they have the development tokens, don't they? We'll see. We'll see with the Haas. We certainly rate Grosjean quite highly. Magnussen, I don't feel he's had a chance to properly shine just because his teams have been pretty lackluster. But again, he seems like a solid choice. I mean, he was given the Renault seat before deciding he'd rather go over to Haas. So.
Yeah, he's also the only driver, I heard this in pre-season testing, the only driver to drive all the up-to-date engines of this turbo era.
Yeah, he's because obviously he did a stint in the McLaren with a Mercedes, and then he was in the Renault, obviously, and now he's in the Ferrari. Yeah.
Has he done the Honda? He's done a Honda as well.
Oh yes, he did the Honda as well with McLaren because
he stepped in, didn't he?
He stepped in for that one race when Alonso was AFK.
No, well, that wasn't last year though, was it? That was the year before.
Yeah, that was the year before.
Yeah, it was the year before.
Yeah,
but yeah, because he had that season. He had the testing crash and he missed the opening race. Magnussen had to step in there, so he's driven. Has he? Hang on, no. They said
he has. He did. So when the engines came in for the first time 3 years ago, he was in the McLaren with the Mercedes engine. Then he substituted for Alonso for the first race because Alonso hurt himself.
Yeah.
Not last year, the year before. That's when he had the Honda.
Yeah.
And then last year he was with Renault.
Yeah.
And then now he's got Ferrari.
Okay.
So it's from this year he's driven all three.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
because remember the first time of these new engine regs, McLaren was still with a Mercedes. They had that silver thing with a bulbous nose.
Oh, the penis nose.
Yes.
The donkey dick, I do believe it was referred to as.
Yes.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Haas on there, even though their livery is so boring, so dull.
So boring.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing Magnussen versus Grosjean, because I think they're two good benchmarks to set against each other.
Yes.
So, hopefully a bit of infighting there.
Isn't it funny how with Grosjean, we now think of him as kind of like, a seasoned elder, whereas a few years ago he was just reckless. Everyone going, oh, he should be banned. He's so dangerous.
Yeah, wouldn't trust him with a shopping trolley. And now he's really settled down and he's honing himself.
Oh, yes.
I hope he doesn't get too boring though. But
oh, God, no.
I like him. I want to see him do well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And fingers crossed he shall.
Yeah. Toro Rosso. Who do we have driving in there? We have Daniel Kvyat and Carlos Sainz again.
Yes. Obviously, surprise to all of us that Kvyat got retained.
Mm-hmm.
None of us saw that coming. Also, they've swapped from the Ferrari engine to the Renault engine.
Yep. So
they're the same as the parent Red Bull team. Times-wise, quite a gap between the two. Kvyat was a 120.4. Carlos Sainz was a 119.8. You got in terms of times and everything. Kvyat did 277 laps. Carlos Sainz 307 laps.
Right. Okay.
So, but again, in testing, doesn't really mean anything. We don't know what their programs were or what they were doing for stuff.
That's not too bad, though, is it? The amount of laps between them, really.
Not at all, not at all. And again, being the Renault engine, it generally is, it looks solid.
Mm-hmm.
So we can hope that carries on and goes forward. Still not overly struck with the blue. It's just weird.
I still like the blue. I'm
I like it. It's just weird.
Yeah. I guarantee once Australia's running, then we're all used to it.
Oh yeah. It's we mentioned this again on the liveries one. Yeah. A couple of the innovations on the Toro Rosso are also on the Mercedes. So it's quite strange that what is supposedly just the B team for Red Bull has done its own thing.
Mm.
Some its own innovations. So
I like it.
Interesting. Oh yeah.
Definitely like it. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. This could be Danny's last year with Toro Rosso.
It's definitely make or break this year.
Yeah.
To be perfectly fair, though, I can imagine it being Carlos Sainz as well, because Toro Rosso is supposed to be where Red Bull bring their new talent in.
Mm-hmm.
And Carlos Sainz this year will be, 4 years with them?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes.
Hang about. Man looks up thing on the internet.
Yeah, go on.
Carlos Sainz. There you go. He started... 2015. The Australian Grand Prix was his first race.
Oh, okay.
So, okay, fine. He might get this year and into 2018, but Toro Rosso generally don't like to keep their drivers for more than 3 years.
Yeah, so this could be the last year with him as well then.
Potentially, yeah.
Okay, well that's something to look forward to along the lines, because they've both got something to fight for. If there's only one seat up for grabs, Toro Rosso might want to keep one of their drivers for stability and bring another driver in. So it could be a fight between them for one seat. So that's interesting to look forward to.
It's going to make an interesting dynamic, definitely. And, hopefully they'll be right in the mix with the midfield. And the signs so far show that is the case.
Yeah. Good. Right. Let's move on to our orange friends, McLaren. Gee, right. Before we say anything, I want McLaren and Honda to do really well. I really do.
I desperately, I love McLaren is my team.
Right.
McLaren is the one. I mean, what was it? 2010 until 2013, when you had Lewis and Jensen in there.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking loved them. The cars looked great. I loved the Vodafone McLaren Mercedes livery. It was amazing.
Yep.
Martin Whitmarsh, had a huge respect for him.
Yep.
I thought it was a great team principal. It was good. I mean, okay, they weren't quite at the very sharp end, but they were there nipping on the heels. And it's often the case. You sometimes just have a team like Red Bull, which is just dominating. And that's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since then, it's just been a cacophony of failures. It's just, dudes, I have to laugh, because if I didn't, I'd cry. That's what it is.
I'm quite close to crying at the moment.
Yeah. It's my God. I mean, and also, I don't know quite who to feel sorry for in this situation. I mean, I feel sorry for the drivers.
Yep.
I kind of feel sorry for Eric Boulier.
Yep.
I feel sorry for McLaren as a team. In fact, the only people I don't really feel sorry for at the minute are Honda. And the reason I don't feel sorry for Honda is, firstly, they came in a year late to the formula, which means they had an entire year where they could develop their engine with no restrictions at all.
Mm-hmm.
They could have run it privately. They could have run everything they wanted to. They could have had that engine in advance of a Mercedes coming into 2014?
Which I think the idea was.
Which was the idea. They didn't. They fucked up. Then they didn't want to bring in people who knew the formula, who knew the engine regs, who knew how to get the best out of it. They wanted to do it all in-house.
Yeah.
Which is a commendable goal. But it's a bit like, you're drowning and someone comes over and says, do you want me to throw you this lifebuoy? You go, no, I'm going to sort this out for myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll grow one myself. And then on top of that, going into this year, I mean, they'd finally kind of gotten their engine to, it was reliable, it was working. Okay, it wasn't going to knock the socks off of Mercedes, but at least they were getting to the front of the midfield. But rather than develop that, to use what they had there and work it and just
tweak it, get to the point where they were consistently scoring podiums? No. We throw all that away and go for a completely new combustion unit, which, and I'm using Fernando Alonso's words here, was amateurish. You've got leaking oil cans. You've got an engine which, when they run it at full speed, vibrates bits off the car.
Which is their problem at the moment, isn't it?
It's their problem. They can't run the engine at full speed. They can't develop the aero because they can't do that. It breaks the electrics. I mean, honestly, the best thing a Honda can do for Melbourne is to stick in the 2016 engine in. At least they'll know where the fucking aero is at that point, and it might give them a bloody clue what's going on. I mean, Jesus fucking H Christ. It's a good thing you read out that bloody disclaimer at the beginning.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
For fuck's sakes, Honda, what the hell are you doing? I mean, Zarish posted that video clip the other day, The Ghosts of Senna.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's amazing. And they set up the speakers around Suzuka with a light LED, and they just kind of played the audio note of the engine based on the telemetry. It's like, okay, Honda, I fucking love you, but you are not that. You got to remember, the last time Honda were in Formula One, they quit right before Braun won the World Championship. That is how fucking inept they are.
Yeah.
And honestly, it would not surprise me one iota if McLaren says, you know what, fuck this shit, and just did their own engine next year. I mean, what have they got to lose at this point?
It's a low point, isn't it? I felt a couple of years ago, yes, last year they made steps. They were getting into Q3. Granted, it was only one car, mostly Alonso, but they were making steps forward. Now,
they were advancing forward a little bit, but now it feels like they've just dropped all the way back to where they were in 2015.
Yeah, it's like they're playing Monopoly and they've gone directly to jail again.
Ah.
And they've decided, no, hang on, instead of paying to get out of jail and then collecting all the money, what we'll do, we'll keep rolling the dice. And I know after 3 goes, we have to pay out. No. Let's just keep rolling the dice and then see if we get out of jail. Because that's what they're doing at the moment. I'm not saying they should have moved over to Europe to develop the engine. And good luck to them if they want to just continue to develop the engine over in Japan and create the greatest engine that they can. But it's clearly not working at the moment. They need some more information brought from outside to work on this. I legitimately think
this is a cultural issue in so much as the work ethic they probably have.
It could be, yeah.
If they have a work ethic which it's you don't want to go and seek help when you have a problem. You want to solve the problem. The problem with that is it can take you a lot longer. It might be a case of if you could hire someone who to run it. I mean, they actually did have what was his name? They hired a bloke who'd worked on Mercedes, I think it was at the beginning. I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head.
He's gone now, though, isn't he?
Yeah, they parted because they had a disagreement on what to do, which says to me is this guy is telling Honda, look, you're doing this wrong. You need to do this. You need to do this. And they've just said, la, 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 la. I'm not listening. La, 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 la.
Oh.
But it was honestly, all I can imagine is, and I'm sure he wouldn't because he's just too nice a guy, but you got Jensen Button on a beach somewhere, sipping a margarita, just laughing. I
don't know if he's laughing. I reckon he's mopping his brow going, bullet dodged. Bullet dodged.
Or maybe not Stoke, because obviously if Fernando decides to throw his toys out the pram and bugger off, who's getting the call? Do
you think he will? I reckon we'll see Alonso in Australia. Do you reckon we'll see him in the last race of 2017?
Well, I was actually going to say, do you think we'll see him in the second race? Because he's not managed to make it to there for the last 2 seasons. I do not know. I think he's out of contract at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Bottas only has a 1-year contract with Mercedes. If I was Fernando Alonso's manager right now, the second after that first test, I'd have been on the phone to Toto Wolff saying, okay, what does it take to get my boy in your car for next year?
Yeah.
Because at this point, I'm pretty sure Fernando Alonso will race for nothing if the car has a chance of winning. He doesn't need the money.
He doesn't need the money, but if he quits, then he forfeits £32 million.
No, but I don't think he'll quit. I think he'll see out this year because there's nowhere for him to go.
Yeah.
So he'll just circulate, I think he's having fun just, building up the Fernando Alonso meme library. Plus, we've got to see what's he going to do at Brazil this year. We've had him being the cameraman. We've had him just sitting out in his deck chair.
Yep.
I think he might have a go at being a marshal, wheeling other cars away. But we'll see.
Yeah, fire marshal, maybe putting his own car out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, assuming the car goes long enough to catch fire. But I think what he's going to do at this rate is I'll circulate, try and get a deal locked in with Mercedes early on for Bottas's seat. Well, actually, Lewis is out of contract at the end of this year as well, so who knows? But my point is, I do not think, unless angels descend from heaven upon high,
yep,
and a ray of light shines out over the circuit, as it were, I do not think you are going to see Fernando Alonso in the McLaren garage in 2018.
No, I think you're right in that. I personally think he'll stick it out to the end of the season.
Yeah.
And no more. Whether it be in a McLaren or anywhere else, I think he won't be in the orange jumpsuit in 2018.
Oh, God, no. That's assuming they keep the orange. But still, my point is, yeah, I think he's going to just chalk this up as it seemed like a good idea at the time and jog on. And yeah, I mean, potentially get over to Mercedes because there's not really going to be any major tweaks to the running order until 2020 when the current Concord agreement changes.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and honestly, I can't see Honda fixing it at this point. I mean, they're just a joke. I can see McLaren walking away from Honda. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, I can see that. But then you're back in the situation where they got a fair point. Customer teams are not going to win the championship.
But they might score more points.
Oh, God, yes, they'll score more points. Absolutely. I think they'll do that with a view to just shoring up their funds, with a view potentially to do their own engine for 2020. Because, again, you've got to remember, McLaren now is a car manufacturer, whereas in the past they weren't. They make their own engines for the P1s, for the P4s, the other cars they make and everything. So I can see them potentially trying to do their own engine at some point, but not in the current engine setup.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think McLaren, I think Honda are just this is going to be a blip on the radar.
Okay. It's interesting you say that because about the contracts with Lewis Hamilton and Bottas, because Hamilton's runs out next year, as far as I'm aware. Bottas has got...
This year.
End of this year, sorry.
Yeah.
Bottas, he's only got a 1-year contract, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Kimi Räikkönen, he's only on 1.
Mm-hmm.
Sebastian Vettel, I think he runs out at the end of this year as well.
Yeah.
So you have 4 good seats up for grabs there.
Well, I think Ricciardo's up as well this year.
Yeah, but
it's going to make for a fun, silly season.
I can't see Red Bull pulling in an outside driver like Alonso. The idea of Toro Rosso is to bring people up.
Well, that's the idea, but again, you've got to bear in mind they've done that in the past for the A team if they don't feel that their B team's up to it. But you're right, they'll bring them in for someone in the family. But Alonso won't go back to Ferrari. I mean, I know people said that about McLaren, but I think the issue here is with they're going to keep Vettel. I think that's just a given. Things seem to be going all right for them this year, so they're going to be pally as fuck, so they'll be fine.
I could see Alonso going back to Ferrari.
I don't know. I think Ferrari will take it as an insult that he left.
Oh, it's unfinished business, though, isn't it?
Well, so was McLaren.
No. McLaren wasn't unfinished. I don't think McLaren was unfinished business. That was just a stopgap, and no, that was just. I think
murder. If you've got a Mercedes seat and a Ferrari seat open for next year, Alonso's going to want to be in the Mercedes.
Yes.
That's just my thought. I mean, again, never say never. And it's going to make for a fun, silly season. I think the thing we can both agree is he's not going to be in a McLaren next year.
No. Would you go in a McLaren now or next year?
Fuck, no. At this rate, I can see McLaren having to resort to bloody pay drivers. Just to,
It's a slippery slope downwards, isn't it? Because they can't put a Ferrari engine in there, McLaren. They can put a Renault, I suppose.
They could put a Renault and they could put Mercedes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just, Honda screwed the pooch as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I also feel a little bit bad for Stoffel Vandoorne.
Yeah, but he's done quite well in testing though, hasn't he?
He's done okay. The McLaren times, the McLarens were 17th and 18th overall out of 22 runners, with both almost identical times, 1:21.3. And in terms of lap times run, Alonso was the third least laps total with 190.
Mm-hmm.
And Stoffel was 235, which is the fourth fewest laps. They really don't have the mileage on that car. And it just, I was watching the Ask Crofty section and they said, look, even if they identified all the problems with the engine, it takes 2 years to build it, 2 weeks to build it and dyno test it properly before you put it in the car. So it's not going to be ready for Melbourne or whatever.
No. Oh, God. So they could be starting 2 or 3 races down the line.
They went through 6 engines throughout testing.
Yeah.
It was 8 days of testing. They literally used an engine a day.
God. It's like the shakers on Gold Rush when they're trying to shake out the gold from the rubbish. And that's what the engine reminds me of now.
Oh, it's like a bag of spanners.
Yeah.
It's... And again, they're completely on the back foot now because they don't know if the car... They don't know if they're... at this point, it's been so long since they've had a car which is... An engine which is reliable enough for them that they probably don't even know if their simulation software is up to spec.
They don't know where they are. They don't know if it's the engine or if it's the aero or if it's a combination of both. They just don't know because they're the only people that run the Honda. They just don't know.
Yeah.
They just don't know.
If I was them, I'd ditch the Honda like a bad habit.
I'd be asking
soon as
for
possible.
Renault. I would be asking for Renault.
Yeah, I reckon. I don't know. If I was them, and I don't know the terms of a divorce, I'd be going for a Mercedes engine in the back of that thing. But I don't think there is a Mercedes engine available to them. Mercedes are providing themselves, Williams, Force India. That's it, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they're really going to have the scope to do another one.
Right. Okay. Well, let's move away from McLaren because otherwise it's the McLaren show.
Yeah, and it's just sad.
Yeah. Williams, we have Felipe Massa back in action, which is nice to see him around there again.
Absolutely, yeah. It was all very... I feel kind of bad for him that he's lost his perfect send-off. He's not going to get another one this year.
No, that was the way to go, wasn't it? It was the perfect way to go. He got let's say this is the encore. He's had his perfect send-off. This is the encore.
It's the encore. Now he's back on stage.
Yeah. Now going, okay, don't know how this is going to work out. I've played all my songs.
One more set.
Yeah. Do I repeat the songs?
Yeah.
By the way, I've been to gigs where they've done that. That's not good. Okay, would you play the set again? Oh, okay. And we've got Lance Stroll there as well.
Oh, yes.
Thought Lance was quite solid in what he did. He racked up the laps. He got 386 laps under his belt.
386, top time of 1:20.3.
Yep.
He did have an off on the first session, but again, first real time in a Formula One car, so can't really fault him on that one.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. There's a lot of chatter about him just being rich boys playing with a car, but Williams are not a team. They want a paid driver, but they're not just going to put the first paid driver that comes along in the car. There's other options out there for them. So Williams have got faith in there. It should be interesting because Paddy Lowe's obviously moving back to Williams, hopefully before Melbourne. So that's going to be interesting to see what they do there. And yeah, I mean, I think of the midfield, Williams looked the best. Massa, especially with a 119.4.
He topped a day with that time, didn't he?
He did, yeah. At one point, he topped a day, and he legitimately left McLaren and Ferrari going, "Wow, that was legitimately quick."
Yeah,
like not a glory run. That was just that was impressive. Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to them. I think you're right in saying that they are the best of the rest at the moment. I think they're ahead of Force India. I think, but they're behind the Williams. The Mercedes, the Red Bull, and the Ferraris.
Yeah, I think as it currently stands, you got your Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes are out the front, and then you got your midfield, and then you got your Sauber and your McLarens.
Yeah, I think that's correct to say. Okay, Force India.
Oh yes,
they were quite solid again. They weren't as quick as the Williams, but they were grouped nicely together. We got Sergio Perez there and Esteban. Why cannot Esteban? No. God, say it again. I can't.
Esteban.
Thank you. It's like legislation. I can't say that word either. Ocon. They were grouped quite well together, both on 120.1s.
Yeah.
And fairly similar amount of laps as well.
Yeah, I mean, it was 349 for Perez and 365 for Ocon.
Mm-hmm. So they got the miles.
Solid, a pretty solid program from them. Again, they're just racking up the miles there, understanding the aero. Not really a huge amount to report on them because, again, they were just circulating, doing what they needed to do, keeping their heads down.
Yeah, you're going to get little niggles, and that is what testing is all about. But I feel we have their pecking order. We know where they are. They're below Williams.
I think that, again, the midfield is very close. I mean, if I was to rate the midfield, I'd say it currently is Williams, Force India, Toro Rosso, Renault, and Haas.
Okay, I would put Renault above Toro Rosso, but we shall see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we shall see. Okay, Ferrari.
Oh, Ferrari, yes.
Ferrari.
Here's a resurgence, eh?
Look,
where were these guys last year?
They look good. They look legitimately good. There were days where they were running the soft, and they were still quicker than the people running the super soft.
They were indeed. And they were obviously lifting.
There was a lot of that, weren't there?
There was a lot of that. But with these engines, you can pick out the note when they lift. And they were always lifting coming out of the final corner.
Right. And that is just to skew their times, isn't it?
Basically, yeah. Well, what it seemed almost like is they weren't pushing, but what happened, they were trying to keep the times down, or keep the times up, as it were. They weren't really pushing, but the car is solid enough that they were still doing good times, and they had to lift so as not to really deal that full hand. I mean, from what I gather, it's the most stable looking car of the field. You got that complex of turns 1, 2, and 3 at Catalonia, and this was like on rails. It was just so bolted throughout all of that. And for both of the drivers, I mean, they both loved it. And I mean, Vettel, I mean, you want to talk about mileage? Second most miles, 591 miles.
Blimey.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
And the only person who did more was Bottas. And you can probably establish a lot of his mileage to just getting familiar with the car.
Yeah.
Whereas with Vettel, he's been in the team, he's familiar, it's not like a new surroundings to him. But yeah, I mean, Vettel, he did an interview and he basically said all of the problems last year kind of hid the changes we were making behind the scenes to sort out our infrastructure. And it certainly seems like they've gotten that sorted this year. And Kimi, hell, I mean, he didn't crack a smile because it's Kimi, but he said more than 3 words, and that's always a good sign.
He's looking exceptional, I feel.
Oh, absolutely. I think I'm excited for this prospect.
Right, I'm excited just because I like Ferrari doesn't mean I want them to run away with it, though. That's the thing.
I don't think they'll run away with it, though.
No.
Because I think Mercedes and Red Bull are better at sandbagging than Ferrari are.
Yeah.
I also think Ferrari was a little bit trying to prove a point after last year, because their car was largely a dog last year. And I think there was a certain amount of they just wanted to show they were up at the pointy end.
Yeah.
And I think they just got their calculator. I think Ferrari probably wanted to be coming in at about third fastest team, just to show they were in the game, but weren't there. But mind games and everything aside, I don't think it's going to be a Ferrari runaway. I don't even think they actually have the fastest car overall.
No, don't get me wrong in thinking that they've already won it. Christ, no. I just go into every season wanting a fair fight. I choose who I want to win it, but also I don't want them to win it just with 4 races left to go. I want
you don't want them to get to the bloody halfway point and it's like, oh well, they've already won it. What's the point in watching the rest of it?
Yeah, 2007 was perfect for me. Kimi won the first race, and then it all went a bit pear-shaded up until England, and then it all came together, and it was just brilliant watching that. So I was satisfied with that. But yeah, Ferrari are looking tasty without trying to look tasty.
Well, they're looking competent.
Yes, yeah.
It's been a while since we've been able to say Ferrari.
yeah. Hopefully they got all their ducks in order.
Hopefully Vettel's been told to shut up and drive.
Yes, otherwise they'll have to do a swear warning before each and every Grand Prix as well.
Absolutely. As he lines up on the grid, he'll have to give a little disclaimer.
Okay. So yeah, they're looking good. Anything else we want to say about them? Because I don't think Kimi had an off.
Kimi had an off. It looked like a rear tyre problem or something, and then he kind of just clipped the front wing. But on the whole, no. I mean, the car, we kind of went over how the cars all look. The car looks good. In that respect, again, love the wide tyres on all of these. But yeah, I think I'm definitely looking forward to Melbourne. Actually, it's not so much Melbourne I'm looking forward to. It's probably... because Melbourne's kind of a strange one, isn't it? It's probably Shanghai more so. Well, that's when you really get a sense of running order.
Right, okay. I just need some racing under my belt now.
Oh, no, I want the racing, but I'm saying it won't be until we get to China and Bahrain that we really get a sense of what's the pecking order in, under fire.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's move on to Red Bull then.
Yes, Red Bull. We've got Max Verstappen and Danny Ricciardo.
Yep.
Again, we had Ricciardo 119.9, 337 laps. Verstappen 119.4, 347 laps. Quite a sedate program, but I think everyone reckons the Renault engine's still got a bit to go before it's near the Mercedes and Ferrari. We should mention to everyone, there's no more tokens. None of that token bullshit anymore.
Thank goodness.
They can do as many changes as they want, but they are limited to 4 engines across the entire year.
Yeah.
So they can change as much as they want, but they can only change the power unit 4 times. So we'll see how that plays out.
Could turn out to be Trigger's broom, couldn't it?
A little bit. But still, it's a sedate program, but I think they have a fair bit in hand. They didn't seem like they were in a panic mode. And traditionally, Red Bull are quiet during the tests. They don't like to be the ones setting the times ablaze and everything. They just want to get on with their own program, do their own thing. I think provided the Renault engine is solid, I still don't think you can beat Adrian Newey for an aero package. So I fully expect them to be up at the pointy end. What's going to be interesting is who's going to be leading the charge. Is it Max or is it Danny? Because obviously Max has been a year in the team now. He's not the new boy. He's kind of got a chance to really assert himself.
Yep.
Whereas I think Daniel Ricciardo is the kind of guy who, he's going to do his talking on the racetrack, as it were. he's not one for the mind games and talking up or talking down. He's just smiley Daniel. He's just going to do his thing.
I'm hoping. I don't think they were sandbagging. I think they were just cautious, kept their head down, and did the program they wanted to do. They got the miles, they got the distance they wanted to do, and there were a few niggles. It felt as if they couldn't run at their full potential, but they were quite happy not to run at their full potential.
I think the niggles, they understood what the niggles were and knew the solutions.
Yes.
It wasn't things like, I don't know why this isn't happening. Let's try this and see what happens. You can often tell how well a team's aero package, or how well the development's going, is by how many times the grids and the FlowViz paint comes out.
Yeah. If that's
and
out every day, then you know that they got problems.
I think a certain orange squad had it on every day.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yes. But yeah, I feel that they were just comfortable where they were. I'm quietly optimistic for Daniel Ricciardo this year. It's not a potential breaker for him this year, but he's ready. He's really ready for it now.
He's certainly the person I would, just in terms of people I want because I like them and I think they're good drivers and certainly deserve it. He's my top pick. He's where I'd put that. So. Yeah,
but he has a little Max Verstappen standing in his way.
Snapping at his, yeah.
I don't even think he's snapping at his heels. He's shoulder barging him.
Yeah,
trying to get him out of the way, yeah. Okay, well that leads us on to Mercedes.
Ah, yes.
Last year's champions.
It's kind of a shame they can change their they have their own numbers now, so we don't have car zero. It always used to be fun when you had car zero racing.
I liked it. We got 77 and 44 though, haven't we?
Yes.
So it's up to them. That's their numbers they chose. That's up to them. They looked quietly solid as well. They got, as you've said before, Valtteri Bottas got 628 laps under his belt. 628.
He had the most mileage, nearly 3,000 kilometers.
Yeah. That's really good. Hamilton, he had,
468.
468. And their times were pretty similar as well.
Yeah, 119.3 for both of them.
Yeah.
Interesting that Bottas had the higher time, but honestly, I don't think Lewis was really trying. Well, that's not fair. Not trying. He certainly wasn't trying to be the top of the timesheets.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Yeah. He was quite happy for Bottas to fit in the car, get as many laps under his belt as he can, get comfortable with it, see what's going on. Mm-hmm. And Hamilton's going, no, I've got 3 years of this already. 4 years of this. It's fine.
It was somewhat telling when, because Hamilton was quite vocal about not wanting to do the wet weather test.
Yep.
And then when the wet weather test came along, he apparently had a electrical fault.
Ah, okay. Well, that might hamper him down the line. We shall see. It'll be interesting.
Yes.
Definitely interesting. Bottas had an off as well, bent the front of the car. But I think that's just a change of elevation, wind blowing in the wrong direction, and he got caught out more than an issue with the car itself.
It happens to the best. It happens to the best of them at the end of the day. So. Yeah.
And you've got to bend them every now and again.
Oh, absolutely. You got to keep those mechanics employed somehow.
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise, they're just chasing you around, eating the food that is laid out for them.
In the hospitality.
Yeah.
Lazy mechanics.
Yeah. So, okay, right. There wasn't much more to talk about them. So, top 3 pecking order at the moment. How do you see it?
Are we talking drivers or teams?
Teams.
Oh, well, teams. I reckon it's going to be Mercedes still the number 1 for me, I think. I think Ferrari 2 and Red Bull 3.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And the slowest car out there?
McLaren.
The McLaren. Is that the one?
Oh, okay. Let me qualify that. I think it might be faster over a single lap than the Sauber.
Yeah.
But I would be amazed if it completes a race distance. They
Really?
were unable to complete a race distance in testing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
I mean, let me put it this way. It is conceivable McLaren could use their entire engine allocation for this season in Melbourne.
Yes. Well, if they continue to be bone shakers and spanners falling out the back of it as it's driving along, then I'm
telling you, what they want to do is stick a 16 engine in for the flyaway racers. Just circulate, get points, sort your aero out.
Will it fit?
Make it fit. Then what you do is you send Honda back to their room and you don't let them have any dinner until they produce an engine, until they've done their homework, basically. I want to see I want to see working out. And when you've done that, you bring that back for the Spanish Grand Prix when is the Spanish Grand Prix?
May sometime.
Right. So you've got until May to do your homework. I want to see your workings out, and I want to see an engine that is capable of running a race distance by then.
Yes, please.
Yeah. And then they've only used one of their engine allocations on an engine we know will let them run at full pelt without shaking the car apart.
Yeah.
And they can work on their aero as well, which is another part of the equation.
Okay.
You hear it? Are you listening to me, Eric? I know you're out there. Pay attention. Makes sense.
He's got his head in his hands right at the moment. Sorry, Eric. Wipe that tear away now.
We feel for you, mate. We feel for you.
I just imagine Alonso looking at him, using one earbud, Eric with the other earbud, looking at each other, mopping each other's tears away with serviettes.
You got Alonso there, just looking through the list of jobs at the Brazilian Grand Prix, saying, "What am I going to be this?" He's like Mr. Ben.
Yeah.
Alonso is now Mr. Ben.
He'll have his own tabard.
Yeah. They should make one up for him and just have it somewhere, probably around that first corner. Someone can run out and give it to him because they know it's happening.
I hope he waves the checkered flag in Brazil.
Yes.
He'll still start the race, but because he knows he's not going to finish it, he'll park up and then still be able to wave the flag.
Yeah. Going to the stand serving hot dogs.
Be the only driver to wave the flag of the race that he actually began in. Be brilliant. Okay, so we're quietly optimistic for Honda, McLaren and Honda for this year. I do hope they do well. I believe the top three teams are, as you said, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Red Bull. I think Ferrari are closer to Mercedes than Red Bull are to Ferrari, though.
Oh, I don't know about that. I honestly think it's going to come down to the engine performance. And I think Melbourne, as I said before, will not give us a true idea of where they stand in relation to each other because it's a street circuit. It's that weird, slightly different sort of. It's always a bit of an outlier.
Uh-huh.
I think once we get to Shanghai, and I think once you've had a little bit more time for tweaking things and getting things sorted, I think it's going to be very close between the Red Bull and Ferrari.
Cool. Okay, excellent. Well, I think we should leave it there. Unless there's... Oh, can we just take a moment? Mr. Surtees passed away.
He did on the last day of testing, which was 85, was he?
Something around that, yeah. A good few laps. He'd done a good few laps of the sun.
He'd done a good few laps on 2 and 4 wheels as well. Yeah. Only man to ever win the 500cc MotoGP championship.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't called MotoGP at the time, but the motorbike championship and the Formula One with Ferrari.
Yeah.
83 he was.
83. So thank you very much, John, for everything you've done. I'd never met the guy, but whenever I'd seen him on TV, I'd always be captivated by what he had to say. So
a true gentleman, and certainly was deserving of a knighthood. He should have been given one. But there you go.
Yeah,
such is the way.
Thank you anyway.
Before we do go, though,
yep.
Not wanting to undercut John said things, but let's just thoughts for the season ahead. Just general. What are we looking forward to? What are we not looking forward to? Just general. What's our third column going to be as well?
Oh, well, I think that should change every race as it has.
No, I know that, but I'm saying, what's our third column for this podcast?
Okay.
So, because we've got to say, who do we think is going to win for Melbourne?
Oh, that's right, yes.
The format we've got to stick to here.
God, I'd totally forgotten about that. We've actually got a race to worry about. That means I've got to, hang on, let me get I need a pencil and my pad. God damn it. Right, here we go. I have my book. Okay.
You got the little book of calm.
I have my little book, yes. My little black book. Right, I need to write an Andy column, an Elton column, a pole position, a race, and a third. Okay, right, I'm ready to go.
Okay. So, who do we think... Right, so should we do pole first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So last year, pole was Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
And the race was Rosberg from Hamilton from Vettel. This year, I think Raikkonen on the pole.
Okay.
And I think Bottas for the win.
And Bottas for the win.
Mm.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to go with Bottas for the pole. Because I think, yeah. And for the win, I'm going for Vettel.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
And I've got an amazing third column for us here.
What lap do the McLarens break down?
I was going to say Alonso, but yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. How many laps will Alonso get under his belt?
How many laps will he get? Well, the race itself is 50. It's scheduled for 58 laps.
Okay.
I think it's 58. That's based on last year. I don't think he'll complete the formation lap.
Really? Wow.
DNS.
Okay. Now, will he be out on... When you say he won't complete the formation lap, he'll be on the grid to start the formation lap? Or do you reckon he won't even make the grid?
Oh,
'Cause that's different. That's totally different.
That is different. I think it'll be... I think he'll make the grid, and then the car just won't go on the sighting lap.
Okay. So zero laps and did not start. Okay. I'm going to go for 12 laps.
12 laps.
Yeah. 12 laps. I feel this might be a reoccurring third column.
I think it might well be.
Oh, God. Okay. Right. Well, then that's us settled for the very first race.
Yes. The Melbourne race, which the date of which is the 26th, I believe. Yes.
Yes, which is also a closing date for our competition.
It is.
It is. All you have to do to enter that is to go along to iTunes and put a 5-star review, and we will pick it up on our magical computer system that we have. It doesn't matter where in the world you are. And once you do that, you are entered into the competition to win the 2016 Review of the Year DVD. And what we'll do, we'll draw the name out of the hat on this show. And the next time we join, it will be the Australian Grand Prix review. We'll draw the name out of the hat, work out who is the winner, and then we'll get in contact with you and send that DVD off to the winner. So there we go. So please pop along to iTunes and leave a 5-star review on there. Thank you very much. That's it for today. Have you got anything to plug before we leave these fine men and ladies?
Oh, yes. When I'm not talking about cars going around really fast, I'm usually talking about spaceships on Space.Jury, which is on iTunes. Just search for Space.Jury, you'll find us there, and on Facebook and all good stuff. And I also do the Band of Brothers podcast with your good self, sir.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Which is always good. Yes.
It is.
RogueTwoMedia.com. You can find that one.
Yes.
I'm the fourth chair on the Black Dog podcast and the Band of Brothers podcast as well. The Black Dog podcast, you can find that blackdogpodcast.com nowadays. So please pop along there, or on the iTunes as well. There's also lots of links of other shows that we recommend that you pop along to and help out and listen to. So please do your duty and pop along and let them know that we sent you. Okay, until we see you in Australia, ta-da.
Meow.